Good evening, fans, and welcome to the inaugural edition of Dragonsden Live. I put this all together through many of you fans out there. And before I get this show going, I would also like to let everyone know that this show is dedicated to my brother Lyndon, who 20 years ago, 30 years ago really, gave me the idea to call into a radio show here in Youngstown, and call myself the Dragon Sword. Well, I did it just knowing in fun, knowing nothing about the radio business back then. I did it in fun, and I called in on a blog line because they didn't have the internet and stuff like that. And overnight, over the next few days, the radio station called me and said they got over 500 responses to that Dragon Sword name. So, as to make a long story short, I was and still probably am the most hated sports analyst in the game. We will talk about Jim Rome later on, but I am the reason he has the moniker No Monikers. And you can look that up. The very first moniker he ever banned was Dragon Sword. Now, from time to time, you'll hear my voice go back and forth because that's a split personality of me. We kind of share the same being and not the same thoughts sometimes. But I've created this show for you. I'm tired of hearing takes. I'm tired of hearing clones and people. I'm going to introduce to you to some of the smartest people I have ever met in sports. I have Jared Durham, who may call in tonight or he may not, but he is going to be my NFL specialist, NHL specialist, and college. I don't know many more people that know more about sports than this young man. And I'm hoping to get these out for him and get his name out there so that he can make a lot of money through his life with sports and all the people that love it. I have many others, but tonight I want to dedicate I'm still working out the kinks on this. I think now that I plug that in, there it is there. I can go there. See if I can switch it over. I have that on and I have the live stream. So it's going to take me a few minutes here. It's a little bit slower than I thought, but I'm going to try to get this on for you so that you can hear it on here. I have many, many surprises for you, but as we're going, like I said, this is a test pilot show. Tonight I want to talk about the WWE and the Night of Champions that they had starting right there, that they had the other night. One of my favorite wrestlers, and I'm sure all of you know, is Randy Orton. Got the loudest ovation. And I'm trying to pull it up on here. It's giving me everything but that. Let's see. Oh, maybe I can go here so I can see. Take it to the home right here where he gets the loudest ovation that I have ever seen or heard. And I'm sure all of you did too. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know what it is, but when the WWE goes overseas, why do they outperform us, Americans, louder than us? It's just an amazing thing. I'm hoping that this goes back there. Okay, you see that opening fire? Now you heard this music. Good Lord, it was the roof blew off the building when this song came on. And to me, when he lost to John Cena, they made a mistake. This man right here is the greatest of all time, in my opinion, in the modern era. In the modern era, now, mind you. He's been there since he was, I think, 22 years old. He's one of the most dedicated. His father was a good wrestler, too. I've seen his father live. And he used to have a broken cast. He'd smack you over the head with it. His father never ever played the good guy. Never. I don't think he ever played the face. And there was no such thing as a middle guy back then. That goes with the second thing, but the one I would like to put on there for you, and this is where I have to learn to do these kind of things, is I'm going to try to see if I can get this to come up here for you. Gmail, Tiffany. Okay. In a few seconds, I'm going to have him try to call in here, and Jared, and we'll talk about these things right here. As I promised him that I would set this up and try to get this up for him. But like I said, he knows more about sports than any person I've ever had come on. And he deserves his entrance music, and I'm going to give it to him. So when he hears this, he's going to want him to try and call in and see. Go ahead, Jared. Try and call in now and see what's going on here, my man. See if we can't hook you up here. As you can tell, he's a Seth Rollins fan. We'll be working out these kinks, everybody, so kind of hang on with me and give it a break. There we go. I think he will have the WWE title. You can tell that within seconds. It's only a matter of time. Anyone else out there, if you want to call me, you can try and call me on Facebook if you have it. Messenger. Look for me on the Dragonsden on Facebook, or you can email me at dragonsden425@gmail.com. You can send your questions there. It says I need moderators to help me do this, so no, I have from the OSU fan 46. Let's go. Must be Ohio State. There's our first fan call in of the night. We're getting this kinks worked out, so hold on, OSU fan. Jared's going to be calling in, and I warn you now, he's a Texas fan. A mighty Texas fan. But he knows a lot about other teams. He doesn't just talk about Texas. He knows every team. He even knows Youngstown State up here in my little part of the town. Oh, wonder this guy is. I think they ripped him off too. It's in my opinion right now that there's too much talent in the WWE. Also, subscribe to this station if you're enjoying it, which I hope you are. Sometimes you'll hear me reappear as the Dragon Sword, but when I do that, I'm in a negative mood. Right now, I'm in a positive mood, but the Dragon Sword tends to come out when I'm a little bit upset, which we know in sports is going to happen. There's many people that have gone through the years, as much knowledge that I have, and I still learn a lot. But there's an old formidable person in the moderation business. I've called CBS Sports. I've talked to Papa Joe Chevalier. I talked to Jim Rome when he was young. I refused. I called him and I didn't like him, so I called him up. And this was back when I was self promoting myself like the Jake Paul and his brother do. If I would have had the utensils that they had to self promote, I'd have been all over the world. I had the entire state of Northeast Ohio conquered. I was right down here in Little Gerard, and from me to come up and talk shows and do that. But it became a hassle. Everybody wanted to just smash on me. They didn't want to listen to me. They just hated the name Dragon Sword. There also will be a contest for those of you out there that will be calling in with the names. Best name at the end of each month gets a free Dragonsden t-shirt. This goes out to a good friend of mine named Rick Busselman and the American Luchador, who has always been a we sort of take shots at each other. And if you're a wrestler out there, an independent wrestler, you're also welcome to call in. If you want to talk back with the Dragon Sword, that's fine with me. So let me check and see if he's going to be calling in here. I have also have a prediction for Saturday night. I also believe it's going to be an entrance. A lot of a lot of people are talking about this match with Goldberg and Gunther. And we know Goldberg. I mean, the WWE universe is not stupid. Goldberg's last match, we all know that he's not going to win the WWE title, because that just doesn't make any sense. It would make the WWE title look like anybody could win it at any time. They should have just had a match for just the match sake against Gunther. But I think and they always seem to catch most of you off guard with the storyline. And they'll say, wow, I never would have thought of that. Okay, can anybody out there tell me, is there one wrestler active today that has not lost a match yet? Think about it. Just a minute or two, and I'll let you know. I'm looking on the board right now, and we got one person on the board right now, which is good. Good. Keep them coming. We're waiting on Jared to call in. Like I said, I don't know if I have this line set up right just yet, but we're going to shoot for Saturday night for 2 hours between the hours of 10 o'clock. As soon as the main event goes off the air, I'm going to come on the air and we'll talk. And hopefully someday I'll get some interviews with some of the WWE stars I do know. That was one of the perks of becoming the Dragon Sword. I got to meet a lot of people. I met Randy Orton in person. I met The Undertaker. I met his protege, Crush, if people would have remembered when they had The Undertaker versus The Undertaker. We had dinner. As a matter of fact, we all had dinner in the Sizzler. The Sizzler Steakhouse on Belmont Avenue was closed down. But I was allowed in there because I had a sports press pass. And I'm telling you, some of those guys are just so amazing, as opposed to the character, and that there when they're in role and they're doing a shoot. Those guys are fantastic. And you get to learn a lot about them. And one of the great ones I met, and he's gone now, was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. Me and him had laughs, a lot of laughs. He was young like me too, but as a matter of fact, I seen him down at the Golf Dome 2 weeks before he passed away. They found him passed away. That's when they were starting to have trouble with taking the over-the-counter medicine. Too many pain pills and stuff. And I mean, those guys, I'm not condemning, or I don't like drugs and that, but when you put the performance on that these athletes do, they're in a lot of pain, and they do it night after night after night. They don't just do it one night a week like we see it one night a week on Raw or two, and we think that's all. No, they're on their way to another town. The minute they leave, they're leaving, and they're going 100, 200 miles up the road. And traveling with them was amazing. If I hadn't have been a married person there when I was younger, before I learned all of this, I would have probably tried to be a wrestler. But I was 30 years old by the time I got into the business. A little late for me, and I had a family, and I just couldn't do the traveling. But if I had to do it all over again, I would do it, because it's really enjoyable, and it's something different every day. So I don't know. I'm waiting here. I don't know if it sets up. I'm waiting on him still to call in. Let's see. I keep checking. Uh-oh, it might have crashed, people. He's not going to be able to call in tonight. I'm having trouble with the lines. But that's okay. We can go to some other things that I would like to talk about. We can go to some other things on the board that I want to check. I have some other home things that I would love you to listen to. This here is, when I bring it up here, I'm going to look it up. As a matter of fact, I had the chance to ask Michael Cole. This very question. Let's see what I have. Sylvester Stallone. I will get this all in order for you. I had it all in certain platforms, but now it's jumped to something else. So I don't know why. I got to get used to this. We all got to learn, I guess. Oh, here we go. The playlists. There we go. Give me a few minute spans. Inspiration playlist. The playlist is where I want to go. Okay. Dragons Collection. Let's take it back to the home. All right, fans, so we're going to try this. I wanted to have Michael Cole. You listen to this. If I can't get this one back on, this is where I realize I'm going to have to get a little bit better version on here. Almost there. Okay. Almost there. Let me go back one more. Let's see. Take that off. Go back to the home. To watching live. I'm trying to get this on for you. I had an interview with Michael Cole. I'm trying to get it done. It's in here somewhere. I had the chance to ask him a question. I had the chance to ask him a question about John Cena, and I think you might be really surprised. You know, this is there, but I just can't seem to pull these things all up. But you have people jumping in and out, and like I said, I apologize for the lack of there, but this is the system's all new to me. Oh, I hope he's not coming for me. Scares you, don't it? The lights went out in here too. And I bring it up if I can get it up while I'm sitting here talking to you. I'll put it up on the board. But Michael Cole, which I generally don't like, I generally don't like him, was very disappointed in what Cena done, and so am I. Cena is not, and I don't care what anybody else says out there. Cena is not the heel type, and he officially hypocrited himself right into the ground when he did what he did. And I'm sure everybody's going to forgive him, but me personally, I never liked the guy, and I can't stand him. And we also have Sports Fan for Life too. Hi, what you doing, Sports Fan for Life? Got a question for us at the WWE or an NFL question? We're working on this. This is our opening show. You're welcome to the Dragon's Den. If you have a question, you can put it on the board here. Or you can email me at dragonsden425 at gmail.com. They're also to help keep the hamsters running in the wheel because they get tired eventually and then the electric does go out on there. There's also, we accept any donations at PayPal-me/DragonsDen321. That's PayPal.me/DragonsDen321. Also, you can get me on Twitter, and that's an easy one. You can get my handle on Twitter. Dragon Beats Rome. Well, we all know in the years that in fiction, old dragons attacked Rome. But this dragon is going to defeat Jim Rome. I want to talk to you, go to hear about him. When you call in and you give me what you want to say, and if I disagree with it, I'm not going to make fun of you. I'll give you the chance to finish your call and finish your point. I won't bust in and make my point known because if you listen to the guy, by now every one of you know what his point is before he even says it. It gets boring and repetitious. Although I may disagree with what you say, I will give you the chance to say it. I will give you a chance to explain it. I won't do that and hang it up here and do that. No, I'll wait till you're done. I don't have takes on this show. I have what they call statements. You call in and say, I want to make a statement. If you don't want to just talk back and forth for a few minutes, you just call in and say, Dragon, I want to make a statement. Make your statement, speak your piece. I give you, at least 60 seconds to 2 minutes to make your point. I'm not going to cut you off. And I don't mind if you call in with a moniker name, with your own, because we'll get to that point. That's one of the things that made me so popular. It wasn't me that made myself popular back then. And this is what's going to do it again. It's not me that's going to make myself popular. I'm calling on all of you to make me popular again. And then when I do bring his voice back, Dragon Sword, you'll never know when I come on the air what mood I'll be in. Now that day, now I'm saying me, Daryl, I'll listen to whatever you have to say. But if you catch Dragon Sword in his mood, he may not allow you to say what everything may go north or south when he gets involved. because he's malicious. He likes to pick on management. He doesn't just blame players, he blames everything. He blames the system, and he tells it like it is. So he's a lot different. There's like two people, one person. That's why I tell you that. When I done it for so many years, you have to have the ulterior personality. He's just a different kind of person. When I started calling in on the radio show, Jim Rome had just started the Jungle. So you have to go back quite a ways. He was young. And a lot of you young guys out there, and you can look this up if you don't believe me, he used to do interviews, and he would call people not by their name, athletes. And he happened to have a quarterback on from the Los Angeles Rams by the name of Jim Everett. This is where his career got started, and there's always been an argument that this was staged for this event. Well, he was interviewing Everett, and at the end of each sentence he would call him Chris. And if a lot of you older guys out there, you younger guys don't know, he was referring to Chris Everett, which she was a tennis player at the time. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, I mean Jim." And then he would do that. And then finally you could see Everett was getting angry. And Everett leaned over and told him if he did it one more time, he was going to come across the desk at him. And this is when Rome worked for ESPN. He was just a little tiny reporter. Like it would just get his own 15 minutes of fame. Well, when Everett said that, I still remember it. He said, "Did you say something, Chris?" Over the table they went, and the show was over. It came on the next day. ESPN went off the air. Jim Rome got fired for that from ESPN that fateful day. But there were so many young people that liked him for doing what he did. In Allah, here comes the Jungle. And it took off like a cannon. And everybody was listening. I listened to him. I still didn't like him because I didn't like his attitude back then, and I still don't like it. He's arrogant, self-opinionated. He doesn't give you a chance to give your opinion. He wants you to be a clone, and a clone is just the same of someone else. That's why I don't understand it. Why can't you sports fans be yourselves, you young men? I want to break you free of that. You're no clone. You have your own identity. He's just a gray-haired old man that has too much Grecian formula in his hand and probably has stabilizer bars on his knees so he can walk. He acts like he's hip, but he has to read everything. Yeah, I'm not as hip as anything now, but I try to keep up with some of the things. But I called in one day, and I was really enjoying the attention that I was getting. There were many, many shows on back then that I would call on ESPN. I'd speak to them live on the air, and they there. Well, I got really popular down here in Northeast Ohio. So then someone, of course, said call Jim Rome, one of the sports announcers down here. So Rome, I called up, but I did not know that these clones had been calling in for weeks about you need to make a statement about the dragon sword. And he would say, "I don't make no statements. I don't know who he is, and I don't want to know who he is. He's not a part of this show." So, but the clones from around this area were the only way they could vent their frustration to me was to call him, and it was pissing him off because he didn't know who I was or what I was. So finally, one of the announcers got me to say, "Call him in. He's waiting on you to call him." And I thought he was going to talk to me or whatever. So he let me go on for about 2 minutes, and he like did a quick interview. Like asked me a couple of questions, and I was talking real fast and hyper. And he says, "All I'm doing is getting calls about you from now on." And I remember this. If someone out there, maybe as old as me right now, could remember this, they could verify it. But he says from now on, there'll be no monikers on this show in the history of it again. He said, you call in what your name. He said, the only reason you got any name is you have known nothing about sports. The only reason people are reacting to you is reacting to your name. Duh. Really? Because that's the truth. They were reacting to my name. At least I didn't, put on some false fight to get on TV. I did this all on my own. I worked this on my own. The same as I'm going to work on this show to make it better for you and me. All of you. I'm out here on YouTube. YouTube's all over the world. So maybe at some point when I'm talking, I can talk in English, any language, Italian, whatever, and you can hear me just streaming it out to you. There are many things that, like I said, that we can talk about on here. But right now, like I said, this is a test run tonight, and I wanted to go on for an hour at least. And like I said, Jim Rome, he blew me up on the air. I mean, he just blew me up. And from that point on, he would never let you couldn't get through their sports producers. If you wanted to call and talk about me, you were just clicked up or hung up on. And that was his way of thinking he could get rid of me. But he didn't know that I knew another guy that was in the late night shows at that time, and his name was Scott Farrell. And Farrell was from this area. He was from Struthers, Ohio. And me and Scott Farrell became very good friends. He would have me on his show, and he'd pour me he'd have a bar on his show, and he'd pour me gasoline, some white gas. I'd take a couple of shots of nitro, and he'd pour it on there, and we'd talk sports back and forth, talk about Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers' brother or son. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers' his father, I think, the way he is. And we can get to football pretty soon. It's another thing I'd like to talk about, man. One night I want to talk about to all you Steeler fans, and I'm 50 miles. You can imagine where I'm at here, fans. I am 50 miles between Cleveland and 50 miles between Pittsburgh. And man, would I just one time love to see the orange and brown bash. They did in the playoffs a couple years ago, but I'm talking about bash this entire AFC. I'm not making any comments about Shedeur Sanders because they have three decent quarterbacks now, and we'll get into Watson later on because I never wanted him here and I don't want him back. I also will allow Steeler fans to call in and talk about Aaron Rodgers and the 18 bags of pot him and Tomlin and TJ Watt will be smoking in the locker room. That's going to be fun, man. Stoner City in Pittsburgh. The one thing I want to see, and I think it's coming this year. I've been saying it's coming. Tomlin has never had a losing season. He's escaped it with a couple of 500 seasons. But they've never been able to get back. They just seem to, with Pittsburgh, their organization, as long as they get in the playoffs, that's what they want. They're not over the hump anymore, like they did with a couple of times. And I can't take it away from Tomlin. He's a great coach. I mean, you can't take it away. He motivates players, gets them to play. But I'm not a fan of the black and gold. Never have been, never will. It's no more or less not a fan of the team itself, but their fans. To me, they're the most arrogant fans in football. Next to Packer fans, we'll get into that later on. That's a debate right there for you. I'd like to know, I'm going to set up some questions on the Dragonsden page on Facebook. I'm going to set up some questionnaires for you to go and answer the questions. I want to know who is the most arrogant fans in football. What NFL team? And when I was younger, it was the Dallas Cowboy fans. But Dallas Cowboy fans are kind of numb to the pain because of Jerry Jones anymore. And I don't see Dallas going anywhere yet this year. But so Jared won't be able to call in tonight. What I'm going to do is when he has a chance, I'm going to do a podcast with him, and I'll just replay it back to all you fans. Because sometimes he gets busy, and we all do. Gets busy and doesn't have the time to call in. But what we'll do is I'll do an interview with him, and I'll bring you interviews, sometimes as many as I can. And sometimes some aren't sports related. They're just stories of life. That's another thing, too. If you're out there and you're making it and your back's up against the wall, this guy here has been through everything. And I'm still standing and I'm still trying. Like I said, for my brother Lyndon P. Hubler, I dedicate this show to you, who's passed on. Hadn't it been for him just sitting there drinking a beer, shooting some hoops at my brother Kevin's house on Judson Avenue, listening to the radio, and the idea to call as the Dragon Sword was born, never knowing how much publicity I would get on there. It was just absolutely amazing. I think if I hadn't had been married and had kids, one-on-one sports, which is now CBS Sports. I can't think of what they are now. They were just bought out again, but they were CBS Sports, but they used to be called One-on-One Sports. I had all these guys, Larry Cutler, all these different guys on here. Let me check and see. I'm getting a message from somebody here. Let me go over here and take a break a second and take a look at it. Okay, he's going to try to call in right now, so let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens here. I think we may have lost our audio here. So as the music goes off, Mr. Jared Durham will be here. I'm going to talk about Goldberg and his predictions for Saturday night's main event, and then he's going to tell you about the NFC North. Well, he said he's going to call in here in a few seconds, so we only got a few minutes before I go off the air. I just don't want to lose this all. I want to thank you all that have, like some of you that have tuned in tonight, and listening. Tell a friend about us. I promise it'll get better, and some of the jumping around on here will get better. It's been years since I ran a board like this. It's been a long time since I ran a board like this. Where was I on the storyline of football? Oh, I was talking about the Pittsburgh fans and the Dallas fans. I'll let Jared talk about the NFC North if he can call in here. I think this line will work if he calls in on the messenger line. I believe it should work. Yeah, there's people on here calling you, Jared. They're saying, come on, call in. They're waiting on you, man. They're waiting on you, buddy. But I do, like I've said, I appreciate you guys all hanging in there. Just give me a chance to learn this board and running it, and I can get a lot faster at it. I can tell you that. It's a lot easier than the other ones were. So, all right, give it 1 second. This is the last shot. I'll try it for him. Until then, let's go back to what I was talking about as in Pittsburgh. I'm only in between these two valleys. And it was one-on-one sports that I was talking about. I knew Larry Cutler. I knew many of these, and each one of them taught me a lot of things. And then, like I said, when you all know it, this is a fun business to be in. But when you have children and all that, you gotta buckle down. And I got a job for the cable company, and I had to take care of my family. But now that I've gotten older and got the chance to all these stuff on that, I wondered if I could do it again. And my kids said that I give it a try. Like I said, you haven't met Dragon's Sword yet, but one day soon you will, and you're not going to like him. You're not going to like him. That's when the phones will light up and the disagreements on there, because he's just not a likable person. That was the reason that people would call. They didn't like him. I, on the other hand, am a likable person. I think I am. And he insults me all the time. So, I can't get away from him, if you get the joke. So, I'm going to shoot for Saturday night at 10 o'clock. We want Jared. Lord of the Wastelands wants you, Jared. Billy Zane wants you, Jared. We have an audience out there that wants you. There's an audience out here that is clamoring for Jared Durham. We're all waiting patiently, my friend. And believe me, when he does call, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. His commentary is unlike any others. He doesn't pull no punches. And I beware you now, Packer fans. He's not much of a Packer fan. He likes the Minnesota Vikings. He likes the Minnesota Twins, the Minnesota Timberwolves, He likes the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe it's the Blackhawks. He might correct me when he gets on here again. It's just because hockey's his all-time favorite, and he knows more about hockey than anybody I've ever known. And he also is a Texas Longhorn fan. And I shall let him see on here Billy Zane and Lord of the Wolves. In the meantime, let me give you out, like I said, if you want to check me out on Twitter, it's Dragon Beats Rome. That's Dragon Beats Rome. And the last 4 Rome are in high captions. My intention is, like I said, to start a platform where you have your own stand to say. You want to be a clone of anybody else. You have your own opinion. State it. I'll give you the chance to say what you want, do what you want, and then at the end I may disagree with it. But here's the thing. You have the right to that opinion. Now, as long as it doesn't get too ridiculous, we're not going to be talking about doing crazy things to guys over sports. How important is it anyway? It's a game. We all get upset. Just remember at the end of them games, when you see those athletes laughing and shaking hands, even though one team got beat 84-3, they're still laughing and shaking hands. They're not taking it that hard. Why should you? But I will give you the platform, and I'm going to go all over, streaming anywhere I can. I'd give wrestling fans a chance to state their opinions. As a matter of fact, I love hearing wrestling takes and putting them on there and seeing. Right now, wrestling is it's its peak before. Ever since Triple H and Shawn Michaels have taken this over, they have launched it like a juggernaut into the sky. That's what I was going to tell you. We're near the end of the show. Does anybody yet know? Do you know Billy Zane, Lord of the Wastelands? Is there a WWE superstar right now that is undefeated? Do you know? If he has, other than, it's not Goldberg, but there is a WWE superstar right now that has never lost a match yet. And he's well over 100 matches. And don't say, what's his name? Trick Williams. That's not Trick Williams. Although he is a good wrestler. Obafemi. Obafemi will be up Saturday night to save Goldberg, which is because they always throw you for a loop, and no one's expecting that. Everybody's expecting Uso or something like that. There's something going on with Uso. They don't just take the belt away like that. Something else is going on inside. And we'll never know what it is, but there's something going on the inside why they took the belt away from him so quickly. And now they're manipulating Rollins into that because they're going to have a big feud with Rollins and Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. And there's going to be 2 bloodlines and the Shield. I'm saying Dean Ambrose has, in what I have heard, Dean Ambrose who should Cena's last match be against? I would have to say it's got to be Dwayne Johnson. I believe it would be against The Rock. And I don't know why The Rock dropped out, but I think his last match should be against somebody of caliber. But the guy that should have beat him, should have been his last match against, should have been Randy Orton. If they would have played this right, they could have made Cena the champ all the way to the end, and then at the very end switched it off to Orton, who then would have lost it probably to Seth Rollins or something like that. That's what I would have done. The CM Punk thing, too. There's another guy. There's 3 guys right there that He should have had it, and he's wrestled two of them. And he just doesn't make he doesn't make a good heel at all. I mean, you got to be able to really make you. I don't feel like he's a heel. It doesn't even look like he's comfortable being a heel. Uh, and that's what I said. I have it in here. I had a phone call with Michael Cole for about 2 minutes this week, and I taped with his answer to me about John Cena, and it wasn't good. He's very disappointed in what Cena's uh, impact was. But we all know that he's going to turn. But I ask you all a question: who's going to be the guy out there that's going to make Cena going back to be a good guy? Because it looked to me like he started to turn on Seth Rollins. And I think that'll be the guy. Seth Rollins will be the one that he does it. It might be Seth Rollins. I'll say right now, it'll either be Seth Rollins or Dwayne Johnson. But my money's on The Rock at just before Christmas, the last pay-per-view. That's his scheduled last match. I mean, who would you guys like to see it be against? I mean, not many wrestlers have done this and then come back, because usually there's one more match, but John's never coming back. I was never a big John Cena fan. I never was a Hogan fan. I always liked the guys that broke the rules a little bit. And believe me, I've seen some good bad guys in my years, man. Shawn Michaels was the best when he Saturday afternoon wrestling. It wasn't very big, and he put Brutus the Barber through the window. He ruined Marty Jannetty's career. Jannetty had to get 60-some stitches. He kicked him right through the glass window, and he became a bad guy, a heel then, because until then they were a tag team. He was popular, especially with the girls and all that, but he went super popular when he went to singles. But he was always a great bad guy. Randy Orton is the most legit bad guy. Oh, no, well, I have to take that back. Triple H is the most legit bad guy I've ever seen. He was such a heel. I loved him, man. Him and that sledgehammer. You know, if he was in shape, OSU fan 46, if he was in shape, I would say Triple H, but Triple H cannot have another match. There's no way he can do it. So, in speaking that, we've gone about 56 minutes, and we've gone on the hour that I wanted to get. Like I said, I'll give you one more here if you want to email me at dragonsden425@gmail.com. Or you can Twitter my question or follow me. And I'm looking for millions and millions of followers. Right now, I'll tell you the 1 millionth follower gets a free t-shirt and an autograph. Yeah, that's right, an autograph from me, yours truly. Also, if you want to donate to the Dragon's Den, so we get little figurines like this and stuff like this, we bring it up here. There he is, Vegeta himself. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. You put paypal.me/DragonsDen321. That's paypal.me/DragonsDen321. Doesn't matter. We take a penny, 2 pennies, a quarter, $1, whatever you feel like to help keep the lights running in the Dragon's Den. Because sometimes the dragon sword turns off his fire and we don't even have heat. But to all of you, I thank you all for joining. I'm going to get off this here and find out what stopped Jared. And if I can't get him to call in, I'm going to do an interview with him and do a podcast with him, and then I'll let you listen to him there. But eventually we'll get the young man on here. And I have also Mr. Ryan Flame. He's a Cleveland person. He's my local Cleveland person. Next Saturday night, we'll see if we can get him on here live. Until then, the Dragon Sword says, if you have a statement, make it. Don't be a clone. As a clone is nothing more than a stone. It doesn't move. It doesn't do anything. Make your statement. Be heard. Call me as we get this, and we will build the Dragon's Den together. I can't do it without you. I need all of you, the fans. Until then, Dragon Sword says, good night.